Well, I have sanded down those two areas and they came out okay. Not perfect, but okay. So I'm going to live with those. Decision about the painting of this Phantom. And after much debate within my own mind and looking at several images and thinking of the pros and cons and all this stuff, you know, I've decided to do something that's pretty radical for me. I mean, I do it once in a while, but not all that often. But I am going to hand paint this Phantom with a brush using Tamiya acrylics. And I've already found the camouflage paint scheme that I like. And I'll show you what the colors are that I'm going to use. I'm going to be using XF68, which is NATO brown, XF67, which is NATO green, XF11, which is JN green, which I think stands for Japanese Navy, I'm not sure. And then for the undersides, XF19, sky gray. So this is all going to be freehand. I have several different size brushes, and I'm just going to take my time. Probably take a couple of layers each color. I have hand painted models before, and they actually don't come out that bad. Sometimes they look pretty good. Saves you a lot of cleanup time with the airbrush, and saves you masking. I don't really have to mask when I'm doing this sort of thing. And yes, it doesn't look quite as good, but from arm's length, it looks just fine. So anyway, good or bad, that's going to be my decision. And I'm going to get started on this right away. And I'm going to start with the NATO brown. Let me see if I can show you a picture of what this looks like. Let's see if I can get the camera here. All right. Oops, get that light off. There we go, that's a little better. Anyway, there it is. This is the pattern I'm going to try to copy the best of my ability. Now the engine exhaust and the area right behind the engine exhaust looks to be some sort of a dark aluminum gray color. So I haven't picked out that color yet. And they show that color on the engine nozzles, engine exhaust nozzles, the area underneath and behind the exhaust nozzles. And they also show an area kind of on the stabilizers a little bit right there, on the bottom half of the stabilizer, a little section there, the same color. Then they show on the top portion of the jet, they show what appears to be that same color. I just can't tell. It's hard to tell from this picture. Anyhow, this is what I'm going to try and copy. And we'll see how I get along with this. I already basically got the whole model primed anyway, except for the rear stabilizers and these ailerons. I do not have the underside of the jet primed. And I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to paint right onto this plastic. It's all been cleaned really well. And I'm going to sand down those areas that are black right there and try to lighten that up quite a bit. Okay, well, let's just move on here and we'll get to painting. And I'll see you when I get back. All right. Okay, here is the NATO brown applied to the jet. This is the first coat. And yes, you can see brush strokes here and there, but that's okay because we'll give it another light coat, and 90% of those brush strokes are going to go away. And then when it's all completely painted with all the colors, a couple coats each, the entire paint job will get a couple of coats of clear. And that clear will help flatten everything out and blend everything together and make a lot of the imperfections and brush strokes and that sort of thing will tend to disappear and blend together, and you won't notice it hardly at all. That's the idea anyway. That's what I'm hoping for. It's worked before in the past, so it should work again. So there's the top view and the side views done with the NATO brown. Now I'm going to start using the greens, the two greens. I'll go with the dark green first, which is the XF11. We'll go with that first. The JN green, and we'll put that where it belongs. Okay. Okay, so I've started putting down the darker green, the JN green XF11, and it goes down in a more transparent type way than the NATO brown does. Almost like it was thinned down a lot, and I could have thinned this down in the past for something, I don't remember. But anyway, there's most of the dark green down. The places that haven't been painted yet are going to be the lighter green, which is the NATO green, XF67. So I'm going to let this all dry up as it is right now really well before I continue on. That's one of the main drawbacks to painting with a brush like this. It takes a lot longer for the paint to dry than it does when you're using an airbrush. So you run the risk of, when you're painting one color, hitting the other color with your hand when it's still wet, which I did a couple times. So I'm just going to stop, let all this brown and this green dry up thoroughly, and then I'll proceed on from there. Okay, the upper surfaces of the jet are basically painted now. I've also painted the nose of the jet and the engine exhaust areas. The underside still needs the sky gray. And that'll be coming up next once the upper surfaces are all totally cured and dried and cured. Then we'll start painting the underside. Okay, I have the majority of the painting done now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tamiya Weathering Master pastels, and I'm going to start putting them on these areas here and the wheel wells to add a little definition and bring out some of the details. So I will go ahead and do that. Also, I have started putting together the wheels, all the drop tanks, and pretty soon I'm going to be putting another coat of the clear on this. Here is the exhaust area, painted up and dry brushed with the Tamiya pastels, weathering pastels. It came out okay, I think. There's the undercarriage bays. I've got 2 layers of clear on the paint. And it's time to put the landing gear on. Okay, I have started on the landing gear. And they are now gluing up. By that I mean the glue is now hardening and setting up so that I can get to the point of standing the jet up on its landing gear, which is going to be a little while from now. So I still have to put some of the little support pieces, actuators, and whatever else they're called, and then the the landing gear doors all have to be put on. Here is the pilot, which I'm not so sure I'm going to use. His right arm looks deformed and too big for the rest of his body, for starters. And he doesn't really fit into the jet very well. So I probably won't use it. Now it's time to put some decals on. I'm done with all the painting and I've put a couple layers of clear coat. So I'm going to start with the upper wing surfaces. I'm going to put one of the main insignias on. That's going to go right down here on this wing. I've always had pretty good success with Revell monogram decals, especially if they're in decent condition. These look like they're in decent condition to me. So, get the tweezers out. All right. And we're going to put it in the water for a few seconds. Excuse me. Nice warm water. There's my little dish of water right there. And while that's sitting in the water for a little bit, I'm going to take my microsol and put it down on the surface of the wing where this decal is going to go. I'll just kind of spread it on there like this. Kind of gets the surface of the model ready to receive this decal, and it'll help us move it around and place it correctly. Get this centered more in the camera. That's a little better. Let's try moving this a little bit like that. There we are. Okay, this thing's ready. I let it sit in there too long. It started curling in on itself. That's okay. Everything's okay. Okay, now we're going to take it and slide it on there, like so. And I think I'll use my finger. Always dip your finger in water and move it around. And then we got to look at the instructions here. Okay, that part of the star lines up just like that. And then this part lines up with there. So it's going to kind of go like, they show it kind of going right about like that. Yeah, just like that. So they show it on the instructions. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right there. I've lined it up just like they show on that illustration, okay? Then we're going to take a Q-tip. I'm going to hold down one end of this decal, and we're going to kind of spread this water out from underneath it a bit. Like so. Wipe up a little of the excess water that's floating around here. Okay, I think it's down a little too low though. Let's bring it up just a touch. Just like that. Okay, that's about all I'm going to put on the top of the airplane for now. So I'm going to move it around, and we're going to put some decals on the sides and the tail section. And on the side is going to be another insignia. This one right here is going to go on the side down here. So let's put that in the water. And we'll try and position this one so that I can put it on there and kind of show you what I'm doing at the same time. Okay. I don't want to leave it in the water too long this time, like I did last time. So, we'll take it out now. And it's going to go right over here. So let's get a little bit of the microsol and we'll put it right here. And we'll get this decal and we'll just slide it right there, like so. And we just got to move it downwards a bit. Let's see. Yeah, it's gonna. I got it just about in the right spot. Let's straighten it out. Bring it down a little bit lower. Put it in right about there. That's kind of what it looks like. Maybe forward a little bit more. Something like that. Yeah, that looks like we got it in the right position. Okay. Try and get some of the excess off here with a Q-tip. Let's check it one more time and look and see if it's even. Yep, looks a little crooked. Let's go down that way just a bit. Just a bit more. I like that. Yeah, that looks pretty straight, just like so. Okay. There's those two on. Now I'm noticing this one on the wing here, the edges of the decal are tending to curl up slightly. This one up here in the front is doing the same thing. I'm hoping as it dries, it's going to lay down totally flat. We'll have to wait and see. We may have to apply a bunch of the microsol to it in order to get it to lay down totally flat. Okay, so there's those two. Get the microsol. Put a little bit of microsol right here in the front where it goes. Okay. And we will take this and we will lay it right there. Okay, let's see, how does that look? Looks pretty straight right there. I think I like that. Now we'll get the Q-tip. Get some of the excess water off here. So far, so good. Now, at this point, I'm going to get some microsol and lay it on the top of this first decal we put down on the wing. So we'll get the brush and we'll brush some on all over the top of this decal, very gently so that we don't move the decal. Just like that. And then we just close the lid, take the Q-tip and go around the very edge. Don't touch the decal. Get all this excess off the painted areas. Like that. Okay. Now we just let this alone. We do not touch it. I think we can do that with the one on the side here too. We'll tilt this on its side like this. Take the microsol and just gently place it over the top of this decal like that. Double check it, make sure it's looking straight, which it is. Get some of this excess that's running down the side off. Like that. Okay. There's that one. Now we just leave it alone. Yeah, do not touch them. Let the microsol do its thing. That's the idea anyway. Okay. Got 3 decals on already. Okay, so I'm going to pause the camera and continue on with the decals, and I'll come back. Okay, I looked at some other pictures and I decided to move this one decal to the back here. It was up here. I moved it back here. And everything else seems to be okay. I'm getting ready to put a decal on the tail section here. So we will turn this jet on its side like so. Let's see if I can bring this up a bit. About like that. Let's bring this back just a bit, like that. Okay, so we got a decal for the tail here. Let's get some of the microsol all over this tail. Get it all nice and wet and slick. And I'm going to have to set this thing down and try and maneuver this decal onto this tail section. All right, now we tip it on its side and we try and move this around into the right position. This has got to go up here more. It's got to come down there more. That's almost right. Let's look at this picture. Yeah, I've almost got it. Almost got it. It's going to go up like that a little more. Like that. Bring this down a bit. Just about like that. Okay. That's pretty good. Right there on the tail. All right. Now I realize that these decals I'm using are for the this model kit. They're for the U.S. Navy version. That these decals came with this kit. Okay, I'm not using all the decals that are for the Navy version because I'm not going to use the word Navy and USS Constellation, and a few other things that identify it as a Navy warbird, flying off of an aircraft carrier out in the ocean. But I need to have some kind of identification on it, so I'm using some of these decals. But, it's certainly isn't 100% accurate. But this is the way I'm just choosing to build it. Sometimes it's fun to stray from absolute accuracy. I don't build these models for contests to get judged or win prizes or anything like that. Do it mainly because it's fun. It's something creative to do. And I make them reasonably, realistic, if you want to use that word. So anyway, yeah, let's just continue on with decals.